questions for you. And what brought you into the Highland dance community?
Well, as you know, Mum's my teacher. So Kim did Highland dancing since a very, very, very young age. And when she had me, she had her school started. So I grew up around Highland dancing. I went to, Mum just told me actually, I was 3 months old and I had to go into an ABHDI meeting because I had to be fed and things like that.
So she went to Brisbane with me when she was 3 months old to her first ABHDI meeting.
So that pretty much proves how much I was involved just in 3 months.
Well, you were listening to Scottish music before you were born.
Yes. So I pretty much grew up into it and I've loved it ever since. I think I was 4 when I did my first paddle bars.
Yes, and just not long after that, you decided one night you were giving up. Remember?
Yes, I thought the fling was too hard, so I said I didn't want to do it anymore. And Mum, I really liked my kilt though, so
it just happened to be hanging on her cupboard.
So Mum said, "Oh well, I'll just give the kilt back to the people we were borrowing it off." And then the next morning, I came in. I said, "No, Mum, it's all right. I'll keep."
No, I said I'll give the kilt back. And when we travel on our trips, you'll be able to stay home with Daddy.
Yeah, which I didn't like. So I travelled state, nationally, internationally. I had all these amazing champion dancers of Mums around me all the time. And I think I just did it because that's what our life was.
And you also went to your first World Highland Dancing Conference when you were 3.
Yes, in Las Vegas. Yep.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that explains it. It's just family life.
So Kim, what do you love most about Highland dancing in Australia?
I think it's the same answer for everyone worldwide. It's the friends you make. It has to be. It's we live so far apart here, not just, well, for us in Tasmania, what we've got with COVID-19 at the moment, we've got the moat. Mm-hmm. So I think we've had 24 days, is it? 24 days without any new cases of COVID-19 because our borders are shut, like in many other states in Australia, and no one can come in and we can't go out, which is a bit of a concern for us at the moment because we're thinking, how will we ever get back into Highland dancing, or how can we hold a competition, because we can't even fly anyone in unless they go into quarantine for 14 days. And I don't think a judge wants to come down to do a day competition, do 14 days quarantine, judge and go home. Yeah. And maybe back into quarantine in their state. But so it's the distances that we're all apart. But when we all travel, and we get to, say, Sydney for the internationals or any other major competition, it's just like seeing your friends again, that it's as if you saw them yesterday and you may not have seen them for 6 months. And I think that's the greatest thing about Highland dancing, you know, it's the friends, the lifelong friends that you make, and it never changes.
And I think the other thing is for other people around the world, for us, so for the Tasmanians to get to internationals, it's an hour and a half flight. So it's like for you Scots to actually like get to London. It's the same kind of feeling. So like it's a long way to go to get to these places. So we don't get to see each other very often except for at championships or competitions.
Elie, who from Australia was a big inspiration to you as a younger dancer?
Well, I was talking about this with Mum today as well. When I was growing up as a young kid again, and there were all these amazing champion dancers around me, one person for me when I was very small was Natasha Millward. It was because she spent so much time with Kim and Peter, my dad, and at our house and travelling with us. She was always near me. I watched her dance. She was here for doing private lessons. I watched her all the time. So as a young child, she was definitely a big inspiration for me. But a very big inspiration for me is actually Australia's first world champion, Flora Carter, but back then she was Flora Grubb. And I never got to see her dance, and I wish that I could have, because I think for me it would be amazing.
There's no videos.
There's no videos. No, there's no way. But we've been up to Newcastle and we stay with her. I've been taught by her. She's an amazing teacher. She's an amazing human inspiration.
Lady.
Yeah, and she has this scrapbook, and I wish she would take photos of it so every Highland dancer could see it. But she has this scrapbook that's just Scotland, the year that she travelled and she won. And she tells this amazing story that she was on the ship, obviously, because back then there was no other way. So she had to get on a ship from Australia, travel to Scotland, and
it took 3 months.
3 months on the ship, and she practiced the fling. But by the time she got to Scotland, because the boat was so rocky, she was actually jumping all around. So she had to reconfigure her whole body to dance before the Worlds, because she was just jumping and hopping around everywhere, because that's just how you had to do it.
I think what inspired you from a little girl when we'd stay at Flora's house was this scrapbook, because it's totally amazing. That is someone you should interview.
Yes.
Chloe, because she's an amazing lady, and the book is so special. And she learnt the SOBH technique off videos through Dorothy Kerr before she went. And the story was in a paper or something, and J.L. Mackenzie saw it, and he invited her to have lessons off him. So that all this story, there's stories about this in her scrapbook. And so when she got to Scotland, she went to J.L. Mackenzie and trained with him. And then, of course, she was the first overseas dancer to ever win the World Championship, and the first Australian to do so too. But she's a very, very generous, and she was a very talented lady. And I think Elie was always, every time we've been to a house, she says, "Can I look at the scrapbook even now?" Because so she can remember.
It's not only that. I think I was always, for a very long time, I was always the youngest dancer that Mum took somewhere. And then as I grew, I suddenly started becoming one of the older ones. And so we'd take these younger kids with us, and she would show them the scrapbook, and she'd talk to them, and she'd teach them. And you could just see the inspiration building up in their minds of, like, this lady, how even for me, how could she possibly have spent 3 months on a boat to get to Scotland and train? If you think what you and I have to do now to train before the Worlds, like, it's just like, it's incredible.
And do you remember when you were really tiny and you were nervous at the championships, and she would get you to rub a gold medal that she used to wear around her neck before you went on?
And she still does that. She still does that now at Grand Australasians. She's always there, and she's usually marshalling. And before the fling, she'll say to me, "Oh, quick, rub the medal." And I don't know, I think she's a very special person.
Auntie Flora.
And I do call her Auntie Flora, and we're very close. And yeah, I truly think she's a huge inspiration in my Highland dancing life. But if I can jump the moat across to a different country,
across
just
because
the Tasman Sea,
you were 9.
When I was 9, I went to Scotland for the first time, and I was very lucky enough that Judy Clark agreed with Mum that she would take me for a lesson. And so it is the first time that I met Morgan. And ever since then, I've been having classes with Morgan, and Judy has eventually become my coach, as well as Kim. So both of them, Judy and Morgan, are a huge inspiration to me, especially in my older and more when I started to get into wanting to get into the world final and get all that things happening. Morgan was a huge, her determination
is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. It is truly amazing, the determination and her skill of calming herself, and the things that she does is incredible. So I'm so happy now that I can call her a friend and a close friend, but truly she amazes me.
So Kim, you have an extremely successful dance school in Australia, in which Elie, I know, Elie now helps you with. How does it feel to have Elie join you as a teacher within the school?
It's very special, but it's also very strange as well, because, you know, people say time flies, but it seems a million years ago to me that I had this little dot that I was teaching to skip, a little barrel with round glasses, skipping, trying to get her to skip and hop. And to see her, I never thought that when I was teaching her the paddle bars and everything that she would end up being a champion, you know, and she just worked so hard. And a lot of that is due to the relationship she ended up with Judy and the encouragement of Judy saying this is what Morgan did. So Elie would do whatever Morgan had done, Elie would do. So, you know, it was easier on mum. You know, you don't always do what your mum says. So that relationship and mentorship was a great help. But so watching her develop, she's been lucky to have had people like Flora and Judy and all the other inspirational people in my life that have helped me become a better teacher, because that's made her a really good teacher. You know, I think if you're not open to lots of ideas and lots of challenges in your life, and I believe as a teacher, you know, you never know everything, and I never think I'm right about anything. I always go, oh, I might check that in the book, or, oh, I wonder if there's a better way to do that, because if you have that attitude, you can learn so much. And so I think I've given that to Elie. So she's, I think she's a very good teacher. So it's wonderful. It's good because being the older person, you know, you're the hierarchy in the school, and I have lots of girls that help me teach, and Elie's just their age and at their level, and it's a really good relationship. So if they can't talk to me, they might talk to Elie, and then she'll mention it, and then I'll end up talking to them. There's lots of pluses for it, because we can openly talk about everything.
Probably something very good recently with COVID-19.
Oh, wonderful.
We've obviously, I don't know what's happening over there, but a lot of places in Australia and schools in Australia have been doing Zoom classes. So Kim Roe School of Dance did go online, and I think Mum probably thanks.
I would have been totally lost without the technical skills and aptitude and the physical body to do it online. Like, if you're going to teach Zoom online, like to a class, you've actually physically got to be able to demonstrate the things really well, and I'm well past that.
So if we kind of move on to the international event, Elie, what do you love most about the internationals?
The internationals has a very, very special spot in my heart, and I think they know that. But the first time we went to internationals, which I believe is the second internationals there ever was, it's a very hard time of the year, especially at the Kim Roe School of Dance, July, because we do everything, ballet, jazz, Highland, contemporary, everything. We have a Stedfords here in Tasmania the week before. So
and it's an exam time for ballet and all sorts of
so
things.
It's a really
it
hard.
It used to be. I've changed it.
Yeah,
to suit the international.
Back then it was hard for Mum she was exhausted by the time internationals came around. So my dad suggested that he would take me, and my best friend, and luckily it was also our dads are best friends, they also came. So it was the two dads taking the two daughters to a championship, which many people might be a little bit of, but they did a really good job. But when we turned up, obviously there was nowhere for us to get change with them helping us, because we were only 11 and 10. Like, we could do it ourselves, but no. So the internationals just went, oh, okay. And within 5 minutes, they had our own little area set up.
That the dads could enter.
That the dads could enter, that we could get changed in. And for that to happen for two people That's just incredible. And there's no problem. There is never a problem. If, you know, and
if an issue arises,
they fix it. And it's so easy. You don't have to worry about asking them a question. And the next year we went up the same thing because we had so much fun. It was ready for us. Saying dad's change room for the girls. And I truly believe that's my favorite thing is it's going up there, although we're going up there and it's competitive and we're all, you know, raring to go. It is such an easy and lovely environment to compete at. I get so excited.
There's not a problem. If there is an issue like that was, it can be solved. Mm-hmm. There's no confrontation. There's never any worry. Nothing's too hard for them to work out.
Yeah, it's all smiles. It's all happiness. It's all relaxed. It's an amazing championship. What the team have done up there is incredible. Awesome. So then it turned into, because
the whole dancing school went.
Because we were having so much fun and we talked about it all the time, it eventuated to the whole dance school going.
Well, not the whole, but a lot of the dance.
Pretty much the whole Highland Dance Studio going. And it's turned into this event weekend that we do as a family, as a school family. It's, we have dinner together, we stay together, we travel together, we cheer each one on in the stands. And I think it's almost got to the point now that no one touches the area that we've sat in for the last 10 years.
I think that's most people sitting there saying
it's just like, you can't sit there, that's the Kimmerer School of Dance.
But everyone seems to sit we sit next to the Moreton Bay people.
Yeah, and then Kerry Studios, like, just like below us, and then we're up the top. Like, it's a very fun, I think everyone's kind of made it a bit fun kind of thing rather than just, you know, a Highland Championship. It's massive now.
Kim, what is your favourite memory from the international event?
Oh, there's lots of favourite memories. One of my favourite ones was last year when Douglas has a guest of honour every year. And because Peter has been coming through all of the internationals, and he encouraged dad. He always told all the dads to go, and we do have a lot of dads that go. Like at the dancing school, they'll say, "Oh, why do I want to go?" No, come, it's good, you know. And the dads have a ball, you know. So he and Dean, Kerry Gross's partner, were the guests of honour. So they both dressed up and Pete wore a kilt for the first time, and he was giving presentations, and that was a really good memory for me now. It was really special. It's not my champions winning. Like, that's fantastic. You know, we've had one year where 4 of them won a championship, so we had 4 champions. But it's because they've got this wonderful thing, which we don't have anywhere else in Australia, where every age group, like it's 9 and under, and then we have 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, 15 years. If you run a school where you've got quite a few good dancers in the same age group, and you live in a state that is isolated like us, and not everyone can afford to travel, that it's this once a year that they decide they will go to a championship. And so because at home we might have the age groups always 13 to 16 years or 14, 15, 12 and 13 years or whatever, they're always competing against each other.
Yeah.
So a lot of the students miss out because obviously, like in every part of the world, the very elite dancers win or get second, and so the others miss out. But because it's individual age groups, when they go up there, they don't all necessarily have to compete against each other. They can go in their own age group, and to see the joy on a dancer who's never placed in a championship before because she's been stuck with these 6 champions. So she always comes 7th, you know, to get in the top 6. And I think to see the children that don't normally place so delighted with a 6th overall in the championship or whatever. I mean, they're beaming. I think the international gives that opportunity to so many dancers, even in the levels. You know, I think it's great. I think that's probably what I enjoy the most.
So Elie, how does it feel to be featured in the top 6 consistently at such a big event like the internationals?
It's incredible. I've actually never thought of it like that. But when you sent me the questions, I thought about it. And what's even more amazing, I think, is I've actually been in the top 3 every time I've competed at the internationals. Wow. So you actually made me think of that. So thank you, because that made me feel quite good about myself. But it's really... It's actually an amazing feeling. As I said, I've never thought about it before. But internationals for Australians and the ones who are travelling to Scotland, it's our last championship before we come across to you guys. So it's almost like that's what you're thinking kind of thing. Like, I've got to know how far I can go. You know, you're not at your peak, obviously, because there's still a month before and all the training that you do before you go. But
it's like a stepping stone.
It is. It's a stepping stone, and I've always taken it like that. Each championship I do, I try to better myself, obviously, to get to Scotland. But internationals, I've always felt very, very energised, and I think it's the way that they celebrate their dance, like every dancer there. Like, for example, I found this for you. So we get sent magnets to put on our fridge. One year. So every year they try and do something different.
But they think of some novel idea.
And so this one says, like, save the date for internationals, and they find a picture of you, and then they put the date on there and all that kinds of thing. And they sent it out to every dancer that entered the year before. Oh. And internationals is a huge competition for entries. So that's an incredible, I wouldn't even think about doing that.
But that's a good point, because all the little beginners and stuff who'd been there the year before, when they got their picture of themselves, they thought that was really special.
Yeah.
And something else that the internationals do is they have an international Champions Day. So the champions from the year before get their own special day to celebrate themselves leading up to the internationals the next year. And so for something to say and put on your Facebook page, oh, it's Elie Roe Daniel International Day. If I didn't win the year before, I always, when it was the person who won, I always used that as a certain kind of motivational, you know, to get there and get my Elie Roe International Day the next year. And I think every way at internationals that they celebrate not just the champion, but
they celebrate every competitor at the start and give them a gift as they walk on.
Absolutely.
In their states.
In your state, you walk out and they say number, whatever it is, your name, your state, and they give you a present at the start before you compete. Oh. And, you know, all your names are written out in your states, in the program. It's just so, I think for every dancer, it's a really special moment to, you know, not many dancers get to have their names called out all the time. So for that to happen is...
It's quite lovely. You might have seen the pictures, Chloe, where there's a picture of starting from one side all the way around, which is the competitors for the day in the championships. And, you know, I think it might start with, I can't remember which state it starts with, but, you know.
I know Tasmania's always last.
We're always last. But, you know, like that, and there's the flag. There's the flag for each state. So the first person carries the flag and then everyone is behind them, then the next state, the next state. But it means that everybody, whether they're the winner or not, they're valued.
Yeah.
You know, everybody feels valued and valued more than just being there to participate for the numbers, being there as as a worthy competitor, and I also think that's important for the
Sorry,
parents.
there was another person who wanted to get up and be involved. This is our dog Piper. She's a West Highland White Terrier, as you can see.
But yeah, I think that's. I don't even know what the question was now.
No, so what I was trying to put the point across was that International celebrates every dancer. So now that you've made me think about that, I have got in the top 3 every time. It is an incredible feeling, and it's yeah.
And you
I'm very proud to be that at internationals, because internationals is my favourite championship of the year. I mean, my age group, the Hamish and Victoria Good and Madison Christie when she was dancing, and all of us were all very close. We were very competitive, but I can remember Dougie always used to laugh at us because the amount, we'd be bouncing and warming up, the amount we would chat and giggle and make fun of each other and do silly things before we go out and dance. Oh, and Liam Elphick too. Was ridiculous. Like, he just used to say, you guys are the funniest age group. Not many people, people that compete against each other don't do this stuff. And we're like, yeah, but what's like, we're all friends. Like, you got to have the best of both worlds. Yeah. So, we're all still very competitive, but I've never seen an age group like ours, and I feel very privileged to be a part of that. And I think internationals was a huge part of why we're such good friends too.
So Kim, what is your proudest achievement as a dance teacher at the International Festival?
Well, that's another thing that they do. So they have little challenges going on all the time. So they have a state competition. So all the points get added up for all the states and regions. So, Queensland, ACT, whatever like that. And I think Tasmania, I think we've won it 8 times or something since its inception. I think pretty well consistently. I'm not sure when it started. But what's lovely about that is that the school from Hobart, the Hobart Highland dancers, they love to go as well. So I think that's why we do so well, because a lot of them go and we go. It actually unites all the Tasmanian dancers. Yeah. So when, luckily enough for us, it's been announced and now the zone winner is Tasmania, all the dancers from all the different schools get to run down, sit on the platform together and have the shield. We don't get to take the shield home, but we all sit there together and there's this beautiful photo. So it unites all the dancers in Tasmania. Instead of them competing against each other, they competed as one. It's just lovely, because suddenly for a moment we're all one team and we're all from different dancing schools. It's lovely. And they have a competition that is for the top school. So they add up all the points for all the schools. So it counts from beginners, I'm not sure the primaries count, but beginners all the way through to premiers, and the choreography results, and have a choreography competition on the Friday night.
And the last year it was the flings and the broadswords and those kinds of things.
They had a fling relay. That was fun. We had a fling relay. Yeah. And we won 4 out of 5 of those, I think. That was hilarious fun, with all the dancers in the school all doing this fling thing and swapping around, and we did quite well in those. But to see the girls all holding hands and 4 of them all competing against each other in the championship an hour later, but holding hands, skipping forward to get their relay medal together. And they were so happy. I thought they were happier about that than winning their championships, There are lovely things like that. And to see all the dancers happy for each other all the time, every time they are successful, or even if it's a 6th placing, and when the little ones skip up with their medals, all the premier dancers are so happy for the beginners, which happens all around the world, but it's a bit more special because it then ends up being this team result, and we've been lucky enough to be the top school 8 times. So that's special. Yeah. And then because of my support, I was inducted into the International Hall of Fame, which is people they recognise who've supported the competition, but not just supported, but worked for. There's all different reasons, not just dance teachers. They've got committee people, and that was very special because I didn't know that was happening, and I had no idea. Wasn't expecting that at all, and that was really lovely. At the internationals, they have this little. Do you want to grab one, Elie, for me over there? They have a little thing that if you're the teacher of someone who wins, say, the beginners trophy fling or overall result, I think there's 2 opportunities for beginners to go for it, Pipe. Yeah. They present, like they're saying, the winner of the intermediate aggregate was Molly Smith, and the teacher of Molly is Betty. And Betty goes forward and gets her medal, So whilst we all think it's a bit of fun and we all joke about it, the teachers, it is lovely that Highland dancing is recognising the hours, I'm just talking about myself, but the hours and the heartache, whatever it is, it's a challenging job, but it's nice to be recognised. We've listed, it's ridiculous, Chloe, we're going on and on, but we've listed so many fun reasons that make it a team event. Mm-hmm. And an enjoyable event, not just this pressure.
So the next question is kind of for both of you, but I'll start with you, Elie. What will you miss most about the event this year?
Well, unfortunately, the last 2 years I haven't been able to go to internationals because I've chosen to do the Edinburgh tattoo, and I've had to leave on that day. And
it's been a big that you've been torn.
I have been torn many of a time, and when COVID was announced, obviously for Australians, Edinburgh was out of the question because we weren't even allowed out of the country.
You're still not allowed out.
So
and you people aren't allowed in.
I thought when before Australia was shut down also into their states, I thought, oh, well, at least I get to go to internationals. But then it got worse, and obviously that's not happening now. So I will miss going. I kind of had hopes that it would happen. But I'll miss travelling with the school. I'll miss seeing all the joy and the laughter and the smiles on their faces and feeling like I do every single time. But the other thing I think I'll miss is just the enjoyment of Highland dancing when I'm there. I always say to Mum, everywhere else I dance, I kind of feel this little bit of pressure hanging over me. But when I'm there, I don't know what it is. I feel like I just kind of dance dance in the moment. And I think the times that I have won at internationals, I truly believe that's what I was just doing. I was just dancing in the moment and dancing and not really worrying, just doing what I had to do. And I think when I finish the reel, I always kind of have this, I kind of know. So I'll definitely miss all the emotions that I get at internationals because I really feel I only experience them there. Obviously, Worlds is a totally different emotion and excitement. But at internationals, because in Australia it's kind of our big thing that we get every year, I will miss that side of it.
And how about you, Kim?
I just miss the trip with the kids. The getting off the plane together, waiting for our luggage, or waiting to see who gets their hire car first, and who gets a red car and who gets a green car and who gets the best car, and which of us gets lost going there, and the phone calls, which road are you on now? Oh, you did the wrong turn. You think we'd know by now, but
who's staying,
some of us
hotel?
The new people usually do 3 laps of Sydney Airport because of the way it works, and you can't get off on the road. It's all hilarious every time. So all of those things. I think the meal we all have together on Saturday night is so much fun. It's hilarious,
One year they had a Kaylee band in the restaurant we were in, and all the kids got up and started doing the flora. And we turned around and were like, what are you doing?
But the only trouble with that is
restaurant
it's
was
Saturday night, the championships are 8 o'clock the next morning.
Yes, which
but we're
is
always
not
up
great,
late. But anyway, you know, that's the whole joy, you know, like it's that. And it's a really, you know, I guess COVID-19's made us all slow down, but we haven't been able to socialise. But it's a lovely chance for me to actually talk to parents, have a drink, sit down next to each other and talk, you know, and I think we've got these pictures of this long table every year of the older students sitting with the little ones, or the little ones sitting on their lap and they're feeding them their tea, you know, and things that you would have done too, Chloe. But I think that when you've got these two big long tables of 20 odd people sitting together having a good time, and I will miss that.
So this year, Doogie has, well, not just Doogie, but the whole team have come up with the interactive event instead of the internationals. I'm just wondering, what are you looking forward to most about it?
Well, we've only just found out about it, like the rest of the world has. So we're still a bit not sure really what's going on. I know a lot about one part, but I asked Dougie today if he could give us a little bit of stuff to talk about. But what he's got happening looks great. I'm very excited. I think it will be good fun.
I'm happy because it's not competitive. I'm sounding like a really bad non-competitive person, but I actually am a PE teacher too, which, you know, it makes me a very competitive person.
The other thing I think that we'll probably both enjoy together is that a lot of this is creativity and choreography and things like that, which both Mum and I love in all the styles of dance that we teach, and I dance and she used to dance. So I think for both of us, we'll probably enjoy doing that together.
A big thank you to Kim and Elie for sharing their experiences at the International Festival. Be sure to follow the interactive event's social media pages to join in all the fun activities the team have planned. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.